The Green Children of Woolpit. It begins in silence. Not the gentle silence of rest, but the heavy silence that settles over land that has known hunger, prayer, fear, and death. In the 12th century, England was a country balanced on belief. The earth was young in the minds of its people. Heaven waited above the clouds. Hell burned beneath the soil. And between those two places, there were questions no one dared to ask too loudly. In the county of Suffolk, surrounded by fields and forests, lay the small village of Woolpit. Its name came from deep pits dug into the earth to trap wolves, dark holes hidden beneath thin coverings of brush and straw. These pits were a warning, a reminder that danger often waited beneath familiar ground. Life in Woolpit was simple, harsh, and repetitive. The villagers rose with the sun, worked until exhaustion, and slept early. Most would never travel more than a few miles from where they were born. The world beyond the fields was not just distant, it was terrifying. They trusted the church. They trusted the soil. And they trusted that the world made sense. Until one day, it didn't. This is the Green Children of Woolpit true story explained. The day the earth spoke back. It was harvest time. The air was thick with dust and late summer heat. Sickles cut through grain in slow, rhythmic motions. The sound of work filled the fields, metal, breath, quiet murmurs. Near the edge of the fields, close to the wolf pits, something shifted. At first, the villagers thought it was an animal. Then the figures stood upright. Two children, a boy and a girl. They were small, thin, clearly frightened. They clung to each other, blinking against the light as if the sun itself was unfamiliar. Their clothing stopped the villagers in their tracks. The fabric was strange. The cut was wrong. The colors were muted in a way no English dye produced. Nothing about them matched the world they had emerged into. But it was their skin that turned curiosity into fear. It was green. Not painted. Not stained. Green like new leaves hidden from the sun. In medieval England, green was not just the color. It was a symbol of nature, of the other world, of things that did not belong entirely to God's light. The villagers did not know what to do. To help strangers could invite divine punishment. To harm children could curse the land. So they stood and watched. Strangers without words. When the children tried to speak, panic spread. Their language was unintelligible. Not English. Not Latin. Not Norman French. No one recognized a single word. The children cried, not loudly, but desperately, the sound of fear without meaning. Some villagers whispered prayers. Others crossed themselves. A few backed away, convinced they were witnessing something unholy. In the end, authority made the decision. The children were taken to the nearby manor of Sir Richard de Calney. Whether this was kindness or captivity depended on who you asked. The children were given shelter. But they were also watched constantly. The children who refused the world's food. Food was brought. Bread, still warm. Meat, salted and cooked. Cheese. Ale. The children refused it all. They pushed it away. They cried harder. Days passed. Their bodies weakened. The villagers began to fear the children would die, and whatever curse they carried would die with them, or spread. Then, one afternoon, servants brought in raw beans, freshly harvested from the fields. At the sight of them, everything changed. The children reacted instantly. They reached forward. They grabbed the beans, They tore open the pods and ate them raw, hungrily, desperately. It was the first time they had shown certainty. For weeks, beans were the only food they would accept. Slowly, other foods were introduced. And slowly, the green faded. Not overnight, but day by day. As if the color belonged to another place, and was being pulled away. The boy who could not survive this world. The boy grew weaker. Despite eating. Despite care. His body failed to adapt. Medieval chroniclers would later describe him as sickly, fragile in a way that felt inevitable. There were no doctors. No explanations. Only prayers. And then, silence. The boy died. Quietly. No record of a burial remains. No grave. No marker. He simply vanished from history. The girl lived. And in time, she began to speak. St. Martin's Land. When the girl finally learned enough English to explain herself, what she said disturbed everyone who listened. She claimed they came from a place called St. Martin's Land, a land where the sun never shone brightly. The world of constant twilight. Everyone there was green. They lived quietly. They tended animals. They did not know kings as England did. They did not know churches in the same way. She said they had been following their cattle when they heard the sound. Bells. Church bells. And then, suddenly, they weren't no longer home. No road. No tunnel described. No memory of travel. Just Woolpit. Recorded by serious men. This is not a story whispered by fires. It was written down carefully by respected medieval chroniclers. William of Newburgh, Ralph of Coggeshall. Men who documented wars, royal deaths, famine, and plague. They did not sensationalize the children. They admitted confusion. They recorded what they could not explain. Which is why the Green Children of Woolpit true story explained has never been dismissed as simple myth. The fairy explanation. To medieval minds, the answer was obvious. The children were not human. They were fairy folk. Creatures from beneath the earth. Green skin symbolized nature. Twilight worlds existed underground. Bells were believed to disrupt enchantments. The story fit perfectly. Too perfectly. Famine, poison, and green skin. Modern historians offered other explanations. The 12th century was marked by famine, malnutrition, crop failure. One theory suggests the children suffered from chlorosis, a form of anemia. It can cause pale or greenish skin. It is linked to iron deficiency. Beans, rich in iron, would have been instinctively appealing. As their diet improved, the green faded. The boy, weaker, did not survive. The girl adapted. Flemish refugees. Another theory suggests the children were Flemish immigrants. Persecuted. Displaced. Their language unfamiliar. Their clothing strange. Their trauma severe. Saint Martin was the patron saint of the Flemish. Saint Martin's Land may not have been another world, but a homeland lost. Trauma and the child's mind. Children under extreme trauma reshape reality. They create worlds that feel safe. Places where pain makes sense. A land of twilight. A land where everyone looks the same. Perhaps St. Martin's Land was not beneath the earth. Perhaps it was inside her memory. A life that never fully arrived. The girl was baptized. She took a new name. She grew up. Records suggest she married. But she was described as strange, withdrawn, different. as if part of her never crossed over. Woolpit today. The fields are quiet. The pits are gone. The bells still ring. And the mystery remains, because no explanation fully satisfies. Not folklore, not science, not history. And so the Green Children of Woolpit true story explained remains unresolved. The whisper from the past. A reminder that sometimes the earth gives back what it should not have taken. And if you listen closely, in the silence between bells, you might still hear footsteps emerging from the ground. The world beneath the fields. The people of Woolpit lived with an unspoken certainty. The earth was not empty. Beneath their feet lay roots, bones, water, and mysteries best left undisturbed. In medieval belief, the ground itself was layered with meaning. Graves connected the living to the dead. Wells opened into darkness. Caves and pits were mouths, entrances, places where the rules of God's light weakened. The Woolpits of Woolpit were especially feared. Dug deep and concealed, they were designed to trap predators, but many believe they trapped more than wolves. Animals avoided them. Children were warned never to go near them alone. So when the Green Children appeared beside these pits, the location mattered. To a medieval mind, they had not merely arrived. They had emerged. And emergence implied origin. If heaven was above and hell was below, then where had these children come from? Between sermons and whispered conversations, villagers spoke of the other world. A place neither damned nor divine. A place of twilight. A place much like the one the girl described. St. Martin's Land. The meaning of green. Green was not an innocent color in the 12th century. It symbolized fertility and decay at the same time. Life and rot. Spring and poison. Green was the color of things that changed. In folklore, fairies were often green, clothed in it, marked by it, claimed by it. To see green in the wrong context was to see a warning. Even sickness carried green. Vomiting bile, skin drained of blood, faces altered by hunger. The Green Children embodied contradiction. They looked alive, but wrong. Healthy, but unnatural. Human, but distant. And that contradiction frightened people more than monsters ever could. Silence as evidence. What haunts historians is not what the children said. It is what they did not. They did not ask where they were. They did not ask to go home. They did not ask for parents. They accepted Woolpit with the quiet resignation of those who believe there is no return. The boy faded. The girl adapted. As though one belonged to the old world, and the other had already let it go. Bells and broken enchantments. Church bells appear again and again in medieval folklore. They warded off demons. They marked safe hours. They disrupted magic. The girl said bells were the last thing she remembered before arriving in Woolpit. To believers, this confirmed everything. The bells had broken an enchantment, pulled the children from their realm, stranded them in ours. And if that were true, then the boy did not die of illness. He died of exile, hunger, war, and displacement. But history offers another kind of horror. The 12th century was brutal. England faced famine after famine. Crops failed. Bread disappeared. Parents watched children starve. Foreign settlers, particularly Flemish immigrants, were persecuted, attacked, and driven from their homes. Children were lost in forests. Villages were burned. Families vanished. Imagine two children fleeing violence, hiding underground, surviving on scraps, malnourished, sick, their skin discolored, their language unfamiliar, their memory fractured by fear. Saint Martin, after all, was the patron saint of the Flemish. Saint Martin's land may not have been another world, but a homeland erased. Sclerosis and the green sickness. Medical historians point to sclerosis, an iron deficiency illness, often called the green sickness. It causes fatigue, weakness, discoloration of the skin. Beans, rich in iron, would have provided instinctive relief. The girl's recovery fits the pattern. The boy's death does not contradict it. Children weakened by starvation do not all survive reefing. Some bodies cannot adjust. Some systems fail. Some hearts simply stop. Memory is a world. But even science cannot explain everything. Trauma reshapes memory. Children protect themselves by altering reality. They build internal landscapes, places where pain makes sense, where loss is bearable. The dim land. A quiet land. A land where everyone looks the same. Saint Martin's land may have been a story, but stories are how humans survive what should destroy them. The woman who was once green. The girl lived. She was baptized, given a new name, integrated, but records describe her as different, quick to anger, withdrawn, never fully belonging, as though part of her remained elsewhere. Not underground, not magical, just unreachable. The long echo. Woolpit still exists. The fields remain. The bells still ring. But the pits are gone. Filled and forgotten. Or so it seems. Because stories do not disappear. They sink. They wait. And they resurface when silence allows them to breathe. No explanation fully satisfies. Not folklore. Not medicine. Not history. And that is why the Green Children of Woolpit true story explained is never truly explained. It lingers. A reminder that the past is not dead. It is listening. And sometimes, it answers.